Hello, friends. Welcome to Makers and Breakers podcast. Our guest tonight is Laura Arnhold, the director of the Upper Merion Township Library. Laura, how are you tonight?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Doing great. So, you're the director of the library. So, tell me about you. How did you find yourself in this role? What made you want to become a librarian?
I decided to be a librarian when I was 7 years old, which is very early in life. My mom tells the story, and I have used the story in almost every person I've talked to talk about my love for the library and why I do what I do. At 7 years old, I asked my mom if I could start working at the library in my hometown, and she told me that I had to go talk to the librarians. So I marched myself right up over to the librarians and asked if I could start working, and I think they were a little bit shocked that a 7-year-old who, can barely read at that point is ready to start working. And they told me I had to wait until I was 14 to start volunteering in the library. And it probably broke my little heart just a bit.
Yeah, that's a long time for a 7-year-old.
7 years is a little bit of time for a 7-year-old. But 2 days after my 14th birthday, I walked back into the library and started volunteering. A year later, I started working as a, page, putting books away, shelving things, checking things out. And I haven't really looked back since. So it's been 20 years of working in libraries, and I absolutely love everything about it.
Oh, wow. Yeah. So what do you have to do to become a librarian? Like, how do you train for this? Do you go to school, or what's involved?
Yes, you do need to go to school, and there's a few programs out there for undergraduate degrees, but you actually have to have a master's degree to be a librarian. So I went and got my master's degree at the University of Maryland in College Park. And very soon after that, I got my job at Upper Merion Township Library as the children's librarian. So I was a children's librarian there for 8 years, and then became director about 3 years ago. A complete switch to what I had been doing, working with kids and working with the public day by day. But I'm loving the challenges of being a director, and I'm really enjoying what I'm doing now too.
Oh, wow. So how did you find, you aren't from the Upper Merion area. You found this library.
No, I grew up on the other side of the state, actually. So I came to this library after searching all over, near and far, to find a library degree or a library job. I applied for positions in Utah and Texas and New Jersey and pretty much anywhere you can think of.
Oh, man.
And when I got here, it just felt right, and I haven't looked back since. I really like it here.
Good. What do you like the most about working in a library?
I love being able to connect with my community. I live and work in Upper Merion, which is great. So I'll walk down an aisle in the grocery store and, you hear the kids in the next aisle over, Mom, that was Miss Laura. She's from the library, which I love that aspect. I grew up in a small town, so I'm very used to being around people that I recognize and I know. And I love being able to make a difference in the community. And I know for a fact that what I do makes a difference, which is really great. And it's easy to come to work when you're doing something like that.
Oh, man. What challenges do you face in your role at the library? And then I want to ask you what the challenges are currently for libraries. Because as I was in our earlier conversation, I was talking about how I used to go to the library a lot when I was a kid. Mm-hmm. If I had research to do for school or anything like that, if you wanted to know something, your options were ask someone or go to the library. Mm-hmm. The internet wasn't a thing. And when the internet came along, I feel like things got displaced and the role of the library has changed. So what are your challenges for you?
As the director, probably my biggest challenge, and for probably most directors across all sorts of types of libraries, would be that we have to do a lot of things with a very small budget. I'm a public library director, so I'm working strictly with the community. There's libraries in elementary and middle school and high schools. There's libraries in academic settings where you're in a university and you have a focus in a specific subject. And then there's special libraries where you're working for an organization, a company, a hospital, things like that. So libraries are in all sorts of areas. Specifically, I think for most libraries, though, you're going to find that budget becomes an issue. Public libraries are dealing with everything from the opioid epidemic. I know libraries who have been trained using Narcan and know how to use it and have used it before in overdose situations. They've been trained in working with homeless people in the libraries. And what I love about public libraries is that we're not going to judge you for coming in to just sit down and hang out for a little while. It's a great place to come when you're too cold, too hot, just need to get onto the internet to try and get a job or to find housing. There's libraries out there that are working with social workers who come into libraries and have a setup just so they can get people into the services they need for their area. But all of those types of things cost money. And so a lot of public libraries are having trouble trying to get the amount of money they need to be able to provide those types of services. So budget for anyone is going to be your top problem.
Okay.
But yeah, it's fun. It's sometimes when you're trying to like figure out how much do I have and what can I do with it, and figuring out who can do the things we need to have done.
How are libraries funded?
Libraries are funded in a couple different ways. So in Pennsylvania, we're a unique state because we don't have, for example, Maryland has countywide systems that are funded countywide. So you have a main branch, and then you have branches throughout your county that support that. We have some county systems here in Pennsylvania. We also have citywide systems, if you think of Philadelphia or Pittsburgh. You also have some libraries that are part of a consortium. We are a township-run library, so I'm a local government employee, but we are also part of the Montgomery County Consortium, which allows us to share resources, which is great for our community. And then you have some libraries that are run by library boards and are individual just among themselves. So you have a variety of different ways to go about funding those types of situations. Primarily for us, our funding comes from a tax on your property taxes. We have a library millage. It's not very much, but it does devote a specific amount of money to the library, which is really helpful. We have limited state and federal funding, ends up being about 4% of our budget, so It's not too much.
Okay.
And that money gets funneled through a number of organizations in the federal and state level to get down to the local level, often looking at population is how kind of they break that money down. Thankfully, the state libraries just got about $5 million increase in their budget for this coming year from the state. It's our first increase since 2010, when they did a minor increase of about $1 million. So $5 million is doing really well, but we're running at about $60 million of funding, which is way less than we were up to about $75 million before the recession started.
Oh, wow.
So we are still very much below what we had been getting for a long time. And libraries are continuing to do more. So trying to find a job, try finding a job without having internet access at home. It's virtually impossible to even, access job applications at these points.
Can you even apply in person anymore?
It's very few places I think you can really do that. If you're lucky, you can get into, I think Target sometimes does like job applications. They have like a kiosk that you can do like there. If you're a small business and you need a place to set up for the day to have internet access, you can hit up Starbucks if you want to spend a couple bucks getting coffee and keeping yourself, getting coffee, getting a snack, to spend the whole day there. Come into the library. We're not going to charge you anything for your internet access. You can set up shop all day long if you want to.
Right.
If you're doing an interview for a job on Skype or, video chatting, we have small meeting rooms where you can go in and do your video chat and get your interview done, and we're not going to charge you for that either. So libraries have done a lot of different things to kind of keep relevant. A lot of people, I have heard more times than I can count, are you afraid that you're not going to have a job in 5 years? I've been working in libraries for 20 years, like I said, so libraries still exist.
Right.
They're still functioning. And I think one of the biggest things that people are surprised to find is that, according to Pew Research that has been done on public libraries, millennials are actually the most likely generation to use libraries and do use libraries. So people keep talking about libraries, becoming useless, basically, with access to internet, but we're still here, and I think we're making changes to stay here for a long time.
Did the research say why millennials use the libraries more?
I didn't get too deep into it, and I probably should too, but there's so much research coming out constantly about these things. I would tend to think that we are community centers and we're creating a place for people to gather, and I think that's what tends to be missing for a lot of millennials. We do so much online these days that I think people are looking for that place to go. That's not your home, that's not your work, that's that third place in the community. Mm-hmm. We become that place for people. So we offer programming and resources so that you can come hang out with us.
The library's evolving now more into a community center.
It really is, yeah.
So what are the services that are available at the library? It's more than just books.
It is more than just books, which is my unofficial tagline for libraries. I think any library can use it. A lot of people, if you haven't been to a public library in a long time, picture dark, dank, musty, little dusty, very quiet, shushing librarians.
Right.
And I think you'd be pleasantly surprised, hopefully, that you come in and we are bright and cheery and helpful and a lot louder than you would expect. Sometimes people get a little frustrated, but anytime, it's a little bit louder, it's children learning, and learning is loud and learning is fun. And we want that to happen. So we are a community center. We do have books. We've got magazines, video games, DVDs to check out. So we have all those typical things, but libraries have a lot more than that. So our library offers a notary service. It's a small donation to the library to get a document notarized.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So we offer that. We also have test proctoring for students who do online learning, or if you work at a community center and you need to have that test proctored, come in. It's a small fee. We just do it because it does take some of our staff timing to be able to proctor tests. We do offer that as well. We have printers, scanners, internet access, Wi-Fi, and we have computers. So if you don't have your own device, we do have computer setups. But the biggest thing probably that I'm excited about are museum passes.
Oh, okay.
We offer museum passes, and they're similar to an annual pass that you would purchase for a family. We purchase the annual pass through our budget, and you get to check that pass out just like you would a book and take it down to a museum or an attraction. You get in for free, and then you bring it back to us and check it in just like you would. No cost to you, except for the money that you give us to support libraries.
Oh, wow. So you can go to what? Which museums
Where
can you go to? Where can you go with this?
We have, I believe right now we're at 12 or 13 locations throughout the area. So you can go to Elmwood Park Zoo. You can go to the Museum of Natural Sciences downtown, the American Revolution Museum, Morris Arboretum. We just recently got Eastern State Penitentiary. We have Philadelphia Magic Gardens. We're looking into the Japanese Tea House. But there's all these great locations, and they're not inexpensive to go to if you're just paying for it out of pocket. But you can pay, just your library tax, and you can get these things for free from us, which is wonderful.
That's crazy. I didn't know this was available.
Yeah, and a lot of people don't. So we're trying to make, that's one of the biggest things I have to do is to educate people about library services. So I'm constantly talking about museum passes. These passes are also usually 2 adults and then some number of children. So if you've got a bigger family, you may have to pay for 1 or 2, but a lot of them will cover at least 2 adults and 2 kids, if not more.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay. What else goes on at the library? What else do we want to tell people?
We have programming, which we haven't touched base on yet. We did over 650 programs last year alone, which really comes down to almost 2 a day.
What do you mean programs?
So we have something that you can come and attend and learn something or be, entertained, educated. They start from birth. So we do story times for babies, 0 to 2. And a lot of people are like coming in with their toddlers or even kids that are in elementary school and going, this is our first time in the library. And we want to be like, come to the library before that. Early literacy starts when you're born. We want kids to be learning songs and rhymes and rhythms and early literacy skills, vocabulary. All of that adds up to the point where they can go to school ready to learn, and it's much more effective. So we start story time at birth, and that runs all through pre-K. And then we offer a lot of programs for elementary, middle school, and high school kids. Our elementary programming is really focused on hands-on learning in STEM, in cultures, in math, in all sorts of different areas that we think are really exciting for kids to learn. And we try to really focus it on interactive, hands-on learning so kids really grasp the concepts really easily. And then our middle school and high school kids, we offer programming as well as volunteer opportunities for them. And they love to be able to volunteer and give back to the community, which we appreciate too. No,
that's great. Yeah. What kind of volunteer work can they do at the library?
One of the best things that we offer is a tech night, and it's once a month, and we have our high school kids come in and actually volunteer their time, and you can get one-on-one tech help. So if you got a new cell phone and you're like, I know how to make a call, but I don't know what else this thing does. You can come in and a high school kid will walk it through with you, answer any questions you might have. If you have questions about Facebook, or you have questions about how to use a laptop, or Google Drive is being weird and you can't figure it out, whatever question you have about your technology, we have kids that volunteer with us who can help you out, which is great. Phenomenal, because I know like my mom will constantly ask me the same question. Like, how do I get the pictures on my phone printed. And I explain it to her and I write her directions